We've got lots to talk about after we look back on that Community Shield win for Manchester City. Actually, the first time. We've got lots to talk about after we look back on that Community Shield win for Manchester City. Actually, the first time that they've won the Community Shield since 2019. And we wonder if that's a bit of a bad omen for them. When you take a look at this list here, because the last 4 previous editions, they lost and went on to win the league. But then when they did win the Community Shield last, they went on to lose the league. So this is one of the big questions we've got today. There are 5 pressing questions coming from this game, such an important game between Manchester United and Manchester City. And so we need some more important figures to help us break down everything that we've seen, which is why we've invited Frank Leboeuf and Gab Marcotti in with us. So Stevie, does this prove that they won't win the league this season?
I think we're clutching at straws. If we think this has any bearing on what's going to happen in the Premier League whatsoever, if anything else, you could look at this and say, well, they were dead and buried, and they come back and win it. So, no, there's no way you can look at this game and look at that stat and think that it's going to make any difference to what's going to happen in the Premier League. Are
you a man of superstition, Frank?
No, not at all. It will strike some people who are, and they will think that it might be, something bad to win the Charity Shield. I always think that to win the Charity Shield, maybe launches your season, and it's a plus point, I think, for Manchester City. And the fact that they lost in 2019 doesn't make anything. Yeah, I'm not superstitious. I think if you can get a trophy, get a trophy, and you look back, after the season.
So have you got Man City winning the league this year?
I don't actually know. I have Arsenal winning the league.
The Community Shield.
It's got nothing to do with whether they won or lost the Community Shield.
Are you sure that hasn't swayed you?
Let me put it that way.
Are you sure, Stevie?
I'm 100% sure.
Gab, who have you got winning it? Does this bode badly for them?
I don't think this is what bodes badly. I don't believe in superstition. I do believe in numbers a little bit, and you're tempted to say that nobody's ever won the Premier League 5 in a row. In fact, I don't believe anybody's been English champion 5 times in a row, but I stand to be corrected on that one if somebody managed it in the 1920s, but certainly wasn't in my lifetime or even Stevie's lifetime. So for that reason, you're tempted to say it's unlikely, but then it was unlikely that they'd win 4 in a row. I could see somebody else winning it this year.
All right, Ali. Tell us what you think.
Hold on. You're hoping that I say that Manchester City winning the Community Shield is a harbinger.
Decider, as has been proven in the previous seasons.
Okay. Yeah. No. I would like to help you, Kay. I would like to make this a discussion, but it really isn't. This was, as it always is, it's a glorified friendly, and it only becomes important if it is convenient for you as a manager and as a club to make it important. So had Manchester United won this game, then the narrative of Erling Haaland and Manchester United would have been of, look at what we're doing. This is progress. This is a step forward. This sets us up for success the rest of the season. If Manchester City had lost this match, I guess we would have discussed it maybe potentially as a big deal, but not within Manchester City, not for Pep Guardiola, not for this club. And while they say that Pep Guardiola and this club would want to win everything, winning or losing this match would not have been the reason as to why Pep Guardiola would lose sleep.
There are 4 more pressing matters that we need to get to. And one of them, Frank, is Onana trying to mess with Erling Haaland's head in the penalty shootout by pointing one way. Haaland goes the other way. What would you have done in a situation like this?
Oh, I would have gone to the open door. I would have gone to the left side of Onana, but it's always a tricky point because you can see that Onana goes very fast on his own left side. So I remember playing a Charity Shield in front of Peter Schmeichel, and that was the first time that the goalkeeper was allowed to move from right to left, and on top of it, he didn't care about the line. That was disturbing, but you pick a side, you don't care what the goalkeeper does, and I think it was what Haaland did, and he didn't calculate what Onana was supposed to do. And Onana gone to the right side, it would have been tricky for Haaland, I have to say.
Would it change your mind on which way you were going to shoot, Ale?
Well, actually, it would have made my mind up. I'm going back to the side to where he's moving away from. Because physically and logically speaking, if you're moving towards your left and all your body weight is now shifting towards your left, it's going to be far more difficult to then plant and come back to the side that you're coming from. So I think for a guy of the qualities of Erling Haaland, simply said, well, the moment he starts moving this way, his momentum is taking him away from where I'm going to hit this ball, so there's no chance he's stopping it. At this point, I think while Onana is trying to somehow get the attention of Erling Haaland, the moment he started doing this, he had already given up the goal.
Was it a bit stupid doing that, Stevie?
I think it's stupid doing it to Haaland.
Yes.
You know, if you're going to do something like that, do it to somebody who you think is not a regular penalty taker and who it might affect. You know, somebody like Haaland or somebody like Frank that's got 1 million penalties, they know what they're doing. And regardless, you know, I always say it, even if the goalkeeper goes the right way, when you're as good at taking penalties as these guys, it doesn't matter that you go the right way because the ball's hit with pace and it's hit right in the spot where you can't get it. So what he should have done is start his nonsense with players who maybe are not quite as confident. That's I don't have a problem doing it. I just think he picked on the wrong guy.
Let's talk about Erling Haaland, because there's been a stat doing the rounds on social media. Stevie brought this one to our attention, obviously. He's on the gram all day. Erling Haaland is yet to register a goal or an assist in a final for Man City. Stevie says this has been padded out somewhat by the Community Shields in there. But what do you make of this, Gab?
I think it's completely nonsense. And I love my statistics and my numbers, but this one particularly silly, as Stevie correctly points out. I believe 3 of those are Community Shields, which are generally irrelevant because leaving aside the whole glorified friendly aspect and seeing James Marcotti and that O'Reilly fella on the pitch and whatever else, there's a simple fact of the matter that teams are not prepared for this game. They're in the middle of their preseason training. You've got guys who are, you know, coming back late. People aren't at full strength. We're not seeing the real Manchester City in these games. And we're not seeing the real Erling Haaland because his whole fitness arc, his fitness preparation is geared towards being at his best later on. And especially with his physique, I think it's even more of a factor. So you're really talking about, what, 4 finals? Is that really relevant? I don't think so. Also, 2 of them were in that same season 2 years ago where he finished the year really, really badly and wasn't scoring it at all in the Premier League or in these finals. So, no, I don't think it's a thing.
So no issue for you either?
No, I think, you know, if you look at those finals, FA Cup, Champions League, what was the other one? There's one I'm missing.
The Community Shield.
Yeah.
Or are those?
But they actually won. They won the game. So that makes it even more irrelevant. You know, had they lost all of these finals, every single one, and you're bought to be a goal scorer, then I think that's a different conversation. But the fact is that they've won all these tournaments. So it's just an anomaly. I played with a guy called Ian Rush. Honestly, has there been a better goal scorer in British football since Rushy? That's an argument you could have. But it took him 8 years, I think it was, to score against Man United. I mean, really? It's just one of these things that sometimes crops up.
Okay, so just an anomaly. We did see the penalties, obviously, and taking one of those penalties was Ederson again. It's not the first time we've seen this. I don't think it's going to be the last. 2 for 2 in shootouts. We saw this yesterday. He also took one against Real Madrid as well. He took it very well as well. Pep Guardiola has had some high praise for his goalkeeper and just how good he is with his feet and taking penalties. He said he's the best penalty taker that we have. I mean, that's some praise from Pep Guardiola, isn't it, Ale?
Well, yes, it is. And you have Erling Haaland on the field and potentially Kevin De Bruyne. But let's not forget that before Erling Haaland came to this team, whenever this team had a penalty to be taken, everybody's just passing the ball to each other and just say, is it you? Am I taking it? Are you taking it? So this has been a point of question for Manchester City. And Erling Haaland has settled those questions. Now, as it pertains to Ederson, I will tell you this. in order to be a penalty taker, you have to have a certain personality, just like Frank. There's got to be a certain arrogance about you, right? There's got to be a certain, I don't care what the world thinks of me, I'm going to do me, that's it. And Ederson strikes me as that sort of guy. Does this guy look like somebody who's concerned about the pressure, the moment, the fans, whatever? No. He just knows what to do and how to do it and calmly takes a penalty. Now, the contrast between, say, Ederson taking a penalty and Johnny Evans taking a penalty, one of them looks like he's never kicked a ball in his life, and the other one is like, okay, this feels like a walk in the park and I can do this as long as you guys want me to do it. It's so comfortable. It reminds me a little bit of José Luis Chilaver. The difference between Chilaver and Ederson was that Chilaver would take the penalties with power. He wasn't displacing it. He was just standing up and hitting it as hard as he could to a corner. Nobody could stop it. But it's the same sort of personality. Again, like Frank, a little bit of arrogance to them helps a lot, or helps quite a bit when taking a penalty.
Do you like it, Frank? Should he be taking more penalties for Manchester City?
Look at Frank, he loves that. Look at, he loves that he said that.
No, because I take the fact that Ali said arrogance as a compliment.
Yes,
I know what he means, and I don't feel, you know, insulted by this adjective, because it's what you need when you go for penalty. You have to put your ego at first and say, I have to score, so I'm going to show to the 50,000, 80,000 people that I'm the best at it. And I like it. I like the challenge. I loved it, and I felt that Ederson loves it. He loves, because first he's a goalkeeper, and it's pretty rare, as Ali mentioned, except Chilavert and some others that we know, we have known throughout the history of football, who are capable of technically and also because of the confidence that they have in their skills to be able to face another goalkeeper. It's a great feeling. Yeah, you feel awful when you miss it, and it happened to me, but you go back. It's like going back on horses or bicycle. You go back because you need that. You need to fill up your ego.
There you go. Arrogance is a nice thing when it comes to the Frenchman, Frank.
So I hear.
Number one, we need to talk about Marcus Rashford, because he had a couple of misses yesterday.
So, yes, it's a concern. I think the fact that last season his output in terms of goals was below average, let's be nice about it. And the fact that he's going to start first day of the season as your main goal scorer, and he gets an opportunity like that and fails miserably. You know, it's one thing that you don't score. It's another thing to completely mistime it, comes off the base of your shin and your ankle, and you're lucky that it hits the post. You don't even make the goalie make a save. So if I'm Ten Hag, that's a worry.
So you tell me, is there something of a warm-up period at the beginning of a season for a goal scorer?
I suppose so, but these are clear chances. These are clear opportunities. And so while, yes, you want to have a feel for the game going into the season, you also want to have a feel for the ball going into the back of the net. And what better moment to do it for Marcus Rashford than in this couple opportunities that he had. I'm with Stevie in the sense that it's not that he missed the chances, it's how he missed the opportunities. And we go back 2 seasons ago, and there was a certainty about Marcus Rashford in front of goal. Now, there's uncertainty. Now there is doubt. And there's doubt that, never mind that we have doubt, he has doubts. It's insignificant to some people, but not to a guy who's missing opportunities, who was not picked for the Euros, who was struggling with confidence at the end of the year, and now starts a new season with big misses again. And what would seem to be insignificant become all the more important. This was important for Marcus Rashford, it was important for Manchester United, and obviously him coming up short is a big deal for both.
Frank, after the game, Ten Hag backed him. He said he was getting in good positions, he was happy with his movements, and he said that once he feels he scores one, then a lot more will come. Do you think Ten Hag has a point here?
What else do you want him to say? You know, you have to make sure that the players still have the trust of his coach, you know, especially after the first game of what we call the season, because the season starts with the Charity Shield, and next week they're going to start, or very soon they're going to start the Premier League. And he wants to show him trust, his confidence, and knowing that Rashford has big talent, and he has to trust himself in that matter. It's worrying for me to see Rashford missing especially the second chance that he had and hit the post. But it is what it is. And Ali resumed Rashford's career in a way, especially last season, very well, where he missed lots of chances. And that's his problem. The consistency that we always talk in that show makes the difference. And if 2 years ago Rashford was exceptional, we didn't see that since then. So, yeah, Ten Hag has nothing else to say that, yeah, he's in good position, that will be successful soon. There is nothing else to say.
Is the pressure on him then this season from the English media, Gab? Marcus Rashford.
Well, look, I mean, I think the screws are obviously turning a little bit. I don't know, look, I defer to the guys who've actually played at the very highest level on this one. I thought compared to some of Rashford's really abject performances last season, where you didn't even notice him on the pitch, this is a step forward. So I'm a little bit Team Ten Hag on this one. At least he's getting in those positions. But yeah, you see those finishes and, you know, you wonder what's going on upstairs. But he does seem a lot more willing, and he does seem able to get himself into effective positions. Those are the little tiny baby steps, I think, that you can take away.